Hello, my soul brothers and soul sister. I am Ron Smith, and this is the Dr. Ron Smith Investigating Show, where we separate the real from fake, the fact from fiction, and give you the winner's edge. And sometimes we able to turn your water into wine. This is season 2, and this has happened to be episode number 7. We are still talking about how smart people make intelligent decisions with money. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about how smart people do dumb things with money. One of the things that I want to just express is that there's a scripture that in the Bible said, "My people are perished because of lack of knowledge." And one of the things that I know is, and basically you could be a professional in one area and not have the knowledge in another area. But you are responsible for your own financial knowledge and your own financial literacy. Through the years, I have learned that I need to take control of my own financial picture. It's one of those things that, this whole podcast is about to talk, and I call it the conversation I wish I had. As I observed my life and my exposure to financial literacy as well as financial understanding, I was very limited because of the environment that I grew in, because no one really talked about that. As I look back, I share with you that there's 3 different types of people: those people who make things happen, those people who watch things happen, and those people who wonder what happened. And unfortunately, I was in that last group, wondering what happened. The next step was I was in the group when I was employed. I watched things happen. I am now in a position to start making things happen for me. And the thing about it is that when I am a real estate professional, there is the high end where you have the Warren Buffetts of the world, and then you have people like me who maybe have 1 or 2 pieces of real estate properties. And what I've learned for sure is that even though Warren Buffett has maybe more zeros in his portfolio than I do, the same basic accounting principles, the same business accoutrements that he established his portfolio is the same thing that I use. When you look at rich people, one thing that they're, it appears that they are, more smarter than we are. They're either prettier or handsome than we are. It appears that they are, they have the Midas touch. But if you watch and you listen to some of the basic same principles, is the same things that I've been sharing over season 1, and I'm going to continue that in season 2. These rich people appears that they're having more fun. One thing that I want to share with you is a mindset. When you are in, a structure where you have less money, or poor, your mindset is spending. And if you're middle class, you'll move up from the spending to saving. Well, rich people look at it as that basically for every dollar that they spend out, they're looking, how do I multiply that? Which means they're looking to invest. One reason why rich people or wealthy people seem to have more fun in life, because they do all 3. They spend, they save, and they invest. And one of the things is what your focus is. So once you're focusing on investing, and you will be able to reap more of the benefits. As I always talk about, there's 5 basic things that you should have to be financial literate, which means basically you need to earn or create your own income. And the more consistent that income is, which means basically cash flow, the better off that you will be able to meet your daily needs and your life needs. Then I talk about management, And then I talk about leverage, and I talk about protecting it and building a legacy. One of the things that I'm going to focus in on today is the leverage part. But I want to go back to the earning and create. One thing, well, let me share this with you. Very rarely do anybody get wealthy by just earning a paycheck, because that just puts you in a different category. And what I mean by that, people who create are normally influencers, and they're more business oriented. Okay, there's a different type of income. When you just have a job from a career, they call that ordinary income. When you actually wanted a business or one of those influencers, that is taxed differently. So ordinary income is when you tax at the higher brackets, and when you are in business, you're taxed at a lower. So the difference between ordinary income and capital gains income is capital gain income is no more than about 15%, where ordinary income can be from 25 to 37% of your income. So right off the bat, that's what rich people do that most middle class and poor people don't, is they move into that class where they are taxed at the capital gains. Now, how you move from that is that you have to have some type of business. And I'm going to give you a perfect example for, I would say, the everyday man. That's the everyday man is the person I call who are making, let's say, $45,000 to $65,000. I can show you how you move up into that class. Next is you have to manage it. You have to create a budget. You have to, write your vision and make it plain, which means that basically you have to understand your income and your expenses, which means the cash flow, your cash flow going in and the cash flow going out. And the thing about it is that you can have it in your head. And matter of fact, you can even, put it on an app. I like to use a pen and paper, because basically I'm old school. But to me, it's the spiritual and the connectivity that gives me when I actually see it in my own handwriting instead of just typing it out. And then you have to realize what your assets and your liabilities are, which mean that what your bank consider an asset and what an asset actually is two different things. But that's another tale for another day. Let's go back with leverage. Leverage is OPM, when you have to use other people's money. One of the things I wish somebody had talked to me about was my credit score and credit cards. And I shared, over the last couple of episodes that basically when that is your first line of actually introducing yourself, I'll put it this way. When you put on your big boy pants or your big girl pants and you start having things in your name instead of your parents' name, and that credit card is the first initial thing that I had in my name as far as financials, besides having that my job that I had that actually was taking taxes out. And remember, I was wondering who FICA was, and that was pretty much the Social Security tax. But establishing your credit is so important, because that is what's going to give you the leverage to be able to get the big ticket items. And the big ticket items, of course, we spoke on this before, and actually you need that even when you apply to get an apartment. They look at your credit scores and your, all that credit history. But in order for you to be beneficial of getting and obtaining a loan from a financial institution, you have to have a good score, or you're going to pay higher interest fees for the same piece of equipment or property, et cetera, et cetera. No one really explained that to me. So if I can go back into the time capsule, that would be probably business 101, well, personal finance 101 is that you are telling a bank, a mortgage company, financial institution, are you credit worthy? Can we trust you? Do you have a history of trust? And I mentioned before that what rich people or wealthy people have done is that they've set their children up for success, which means that basically they open a credit card or a line of credit in their children's name when they were like, let's say if I was 8 years old, if I had an 8-year-old son or daughter, I would set them up with a credit card. And that credit card, I would put in, only thing that I would put on that credit card with their name on it would be my phone bill, which means that I know I'm going to pay that phone bill off every month. So by the time they are in high school getting ready for college, they have at least 10 years of exemplary credit history. And they would have like a high 70 or close to an 800 score just by me doing that one thing alone. And knowing that basically they won't have any hits or missed payments, et cetera, like I did on my credit card. And don't do what I did. Of course, I maxed it out. And then I just paid the minimum payments. So that's it. So when I, graduated, was on my own, trying to buy a car, trying to, rent an apartment at that time wasn't a problem. But a couple of years later, we tried to purchase a house, which means that basically, yes, I was able to get it, but basically it cost me more. So that's one of the things that rich people do that poor people don't do. Now, I'm quite sure there has been some middle class and upper middle class people who have actually talked to their children about money. And that is very, very honorable. But I wish somebody had talked to me about it. And as I discuss this conversation continuously, I find more and more people did not have the knowledge of doing that. That's one simple thing. Another thing I want to talk about is leaving a legacy and how that actually worked. Now, the easiest way to leave a legacy, most people think they're going to leave a house and a business and, stocks and bonds and et cetera, which is very good. I mentioned protection, and I mentioned, having a life insurance policy. I told you basically I'm more leaning towards a whole life than I am a term policy. If you are savvy enough to, do your day trading, do your investment in marketing with the stock market, and you have a good sized pension, and of course, you're putting money in an IRA, Roth. You might not need to do a whole life policy because basically you are balancing out some things within yourself, and you develop some knowledge about how the market works. But at the end, I'm going to show you what I would do if I was a 25-year-old individual, and how I would make this whole system, the financial system, work. Knowing that we are in a very consumer-oriented society, and since money has been taken off the gold standard, we have looked at things totally different. So we are halftime right now. When I come back, we're going to continue how smart people do intelligent things with money. See you on the flip side. How you doing? I am Ron Smith, and this is the Dr. Ron Smith Investigating Show. And we're at halftime. We're talking about how smart people do intelligent things with money. And we just did an overview of what's the basic financial literacy and understanding, which is, you have to have a continuous flow of earning money either by career, or you create money by starting your own business, or you're an entertainer, sports figure, et cetera, et cetera. And then we talk about managing your money. And managing is real basic. We talk about cash flow. Then we talk about OPM, which was leverage, is that section. And we talk about protection insurance, how you protect what you have created, and then building a legacy. And then I talk about two major things that normally time runs out on me, about how you use a leverage and how you protect what you created and leaving a legacy. And that's pretty much where we are right now. It all depends on your mindset. You have to have a mind that basically, I'm going to take control of my own financial situation, because no one is coming to the rescue. Everybody and their brother are trying to reach in your pocket and get whatever they can shake down you are. So, and you have to spend to live, and you have to have money to spend to live. And the conversation is, how do I maximize my income and I limit my expenses? So very simple is that basically I live on less than I make. I mean, that's the simplicity of what we're talking about. But at the same time, I also planning on not just retirement, in which I'm kind of up in the air about that term retirement, because as long as you live, there has to be some type of asset coming in. And basically, in your earning years, you're preparing for that. And the best way to actually maximize your investment is make sure you are smart about that. And just don't let someone lead you into just thinking retirement, because, that is an end in within itself. But there is life even within retirement, that basically you're going to have additional income. At one time, there was a three-legged stool they talk about, where you have your company that you work for, pension, your Social Security, and some of your own investments, and making those things work for you. If you do it right, you can have the same types of purchase the same type of assets that you can have longevity in your financial life. The second part I want to talk about is leaving the protection and leaving a legacy for yourself and your children. There has been too many people that I have even recently heard about have died intestate. And what I mean by intestate is that they died without having a will or trust or even life insurance in place. There is too many insurance companies where you can get, and I'm not recommending this, but you can get at least $10,000 or $20,000 for your insurance to pay for your final expenses. I have a friend of mine who's in insurance, and he said that basically most people of color walk in, they want $10,000, $25,000 or $50,000 insurance. He said people of other persuasions, they don't walk out his office with less than $1 million policy. Just think about that, $1 million policy. And he said, here's the kicker to that. I can't tell people what to do, but he was saying just for a few dollars more, they could have had the same $1 million policy. And that kind of, took me aback, because I wish somebody had told me that a long time ago. And that's one of the conversations I wish I had about insurance, is that you can leave that as far as your legacy for your children, which means that your family, whether your significant other or your spouse or your children, would not have to be concerned with how their standard of living is going to be from that point on without you. For past experience is that is a very emotional time. And if you can alleviate just that financial piece from your family, that would be a great relief. Taken from me, from experience, is that if you can relieve that financial piece, the emotional side is going to be there always. The grieving is going to be there always. What you don't want to do is double down or triple tap by having them to do a GoFundMe or pass the hat around to pay for the final expense. One thing, minimum, you should have a will. But one thing I really don't like about the will is because the will is public record. And then you have to go before the magistrate or a judge that would assign an executor to that will, which means that it goes through probate, which means that basically all your debtors are paid, and then you get what's left over. I prefer you to do a trust. A trust protects you from the public disclosure of your assets, as well as it protects your beneficiaries, that they have directly get what you put into that trust, as well as it protects you. It's a limited protection of creditors because it's not public. So those are reasons that I will highly suggest that. And if you have an estate over $100,000, I think it's worth the couple $100 that would take to create this trust with a certified trust attorney. If you have a house and basically, you have insurance on that house, upon, if you, transition, that house is going to be paid for, put that into trust. And make sure you name the beneficiary of that trust. Trust me, it is worth the time and effort that you put up now than later. And one thing, there's some documents that you should have in place. One of the things is what I call a letter of instruction. And that's when you sit down with your attorney, when you do your will and trust, you tell them exactly what you want in there, which means who has the power of attorney. There's somebody that's that you trust that basically will make the decision financially. And you have to need a health power of attorney just because you are maybe incapacitated to make those decisions. One the decision is DNR, which means do not resuscitate. Those things need to be in place because at an emotional time, you don't want your children or your siblings or someone else to have to make that decision. You already made that decision, because one of the things that you have to realize that they might want to hold on to you longer than basically you want to be here, because there might be situations that you don't want to live in a vegetable state, and it has to be a personal decision. Okay, let's talk about the documents in my last couple of minutes. Okay, your beneficiary need to know where your bank accounts are. They need to know what your passwords and your usernames, all your digital platforms. That should be in a place where you told them to look and they can easily have access to it. If you have bills on auto pay, they need to know what those bills are and they need to have a list. With that, do you have a safety deposit box? And where is that location of that safety deposit box? Which means that all this information, all these documents should be in there, by the way. All your 401k and your IRA, your Roth information, they need to have all that information on there. They need to know what your pension information is. If you have any annuity contracts, and I mentioned about insurance, where life, car, health, home, if you have any disability or long-term care, all those policies need to be in this location. Savings bonds. I know a lot of people, they're not was in vogue as they were a couple of years ago, but we need to know where those physical copies of those savings bonds are. And good place to have that in safety deposit box, or I would, have a safe at home that's fireproof, that sort of thing. And knowing that particular trusted person would have the information of where it is. Any brokerage accounts, which mean that, any annuities, et cetera, et cetera. Deeds to all the properties that you may have, that summer house, the house in the country, et cetera, et cetera. And if you already have a cemetery plot in mind, they sell those policies too. That need to be in that box. Your vehicle titles need to be in that box. Marriage licenses, and as well as divorce papers, they need to be in there just in case something comes up. Maybe somebody contesting that, hey, we still married, and that might be a surprise to you. So make sure you have those paperwork in. Military documents, DD 214. You have to have that DD 214s if you want to get those veterans benefits. And and your social security card or your social security number. Any business documents that you might have. You might be a silent partner in a real estate deal, or you might be a part of an LLC. All that documents need to be in this case. Your last 3 years of your tax returns that need to be in this box. And I'm gonna wrap it up with, you need to have, if you have an attorney and you have a CPA, we need the names and address and the phone numbers of the point of contact that they need to have. That's just how rich people are able to pass down their wealth. We are the baby boomers. I think they did a study from 1945 to 1965. That group of people are sitting on the most real estate wealth in America. Those are the people who are getting ready to transfer all that wealth to the next generation. So this information would be very pertinent that you get this information together. So you're going to have a positive succession of legacy, as well as financial literacy. Now, I got 1 minute to tell you what I would do. If I was in, let's say if I were out of college right now, and I was starting my career, first thing I would do, I would get I would purchase at least no less than $1 million insurance policy, a whole life insurance policy. And I probably do index universal life insurance policy, which basically an index. They would invest on the Standard & Poor's 500, which means that basically I'm building the cash value. So the maturity of that insurance policy, I would be able to make a loan out of it. Reason I mentioned that, Ray Kroc did that when he started McDonald's. Walt Disney, he pulled money out of his life insurance policy to start Disneyland. Just two suggestions what I would do different. Next, I will buy a duplex, triplex, or quadplex. I will the same conventional loan that you can buy for a single family home, you can get purchase a quadplex or duplex or a triplex. Have the tenants in there, they will pay for the mortgage. I will start an LLC as the property manager of this duplex. So now I have created a business that I can actually write off the expenses that I would have. The next thing I would do is basically I would purchase a vehicle that's 6,000 pounds or heavier for my business. And I would instantly be in the real estate business. So basically I would talk to other real estate deals, look at other prospective deals as I travel around town using that vehicle. So all those things are a write-off. And remember what I told you about all my expenses at that time, even though I probably have another job, but the expenses of that business will be taxed at the capital gains, which is 10%. Now, the beauty of that is that the difference between ordinary income and capital gains income is that if I ordinary income, I am taxed, then I spend, and I get what's left over. In business, I spend, and I get I purchase, and I get taxed on what's left over. If you kind of see the difference, and I'll probably go over that again in another episode. But those are the three things that I would do different now. Buying a home and buying a vehicle are the largest purchases that a young person would do besides getting into business. I just gave you a fast track way that if I was going to do it again for what I've learned. My time is up. Thank you for yours. Until next time.